Folk Tales of Wales here by Eirwen Jones. Gelert. Prince Llewellyn had a dog called Gelert. It had been given him as a gift by his father-in-law, and from the first the prince and the dog were firm friends. In the hunt there was no dog so brave and fearless as Gelert. Yet within Llewellyn's palace no dog was so gentle and affectionate. One fine morning in early autumn, Prince Llewellyn was going hunting. The huntsman blew his horn in the castle courtyards. Knights and pages, horses and hounds crowded before the castle walls. Llewellyn walked into the midst of the hounds. Don and Juno, Seren and Morwen are here, he cried, and continued to count the dogs. But where is Gelert? The huntsman blew his horn again at the prince's command, but no Gelert answered the call. Strange that Gelert does not hear the horn, said Llewellyn sadly as the huntsman moved away. Llewellyn did not enjoy his ride that day. When evening came, he was glad to ride back to his castle. As he rode through the gateway, Gelert sprang forward and to greet him. Gelert, Gelert, where hast thou been hiding all day? Llewellyn leapt from his horse to pat the dog, but he drew back shuddering, for Gelert's jaws were dripping with blood. The prince spoke in anger. Gelert cowered against the wall in fear. Llewellyn strode into his castle in search of his little son. The little prince was often led in Gelert's charge, and Llewellyn feared the dog had done some harm. He leapt up the stone staircase, his spurs ringing at every stride, and ran into his little son's room, Gelert padding after him. In the doorway Llewellyn paused. He saw that the walls and floor were covered with bloodstains. The child's cradle had been overturned. The baby prince was nowhere to be seen. Little son, Llewellyn called, but there was no answering cry. He raised the broken cradle, but the child was not beneath it. He searched round the room, but failed to find a trace of the young prince. Llewellyn saw Gelert standing near. Thou hast done it, he cried, thou evil dog. Beside himself in his distress, Llewellyn drew his sword and thrust it up the hilt into the dog's body. Gelert, moaning and looking sadly at Llewellyn, sank down on the floor and died. Llewellyn cried out in sorrow as he saw the dog die. The prince's cry was answered by another cry, faint but loud enough to reach his father's ear. In 2 strides Llewellyn was at a couch in the far corner of the room. There, safely hidden, he found his young son, just awakened from a sweet sleep. Behind the couch lay the body of a wolf newly slain. Alas, brave Gelert, cried Prince Llewellyn, too late do I discover thy brave deed. Both thee, my baby son, would have been devoured by this fierce wolf. How grievously have I repaid thee. Llewellyn mourned deeply. His courtiers tried to comfort him. It is useless thus to lament, said one. You cannot make the dead dog alive again. Llewellyn thought what he could best do to preserve the memory of his brave dog. Gelert was buried. A great grave was dug and a monument was placed over the body. Llewellyn hung there his horn and sceptre as a tribute of respect. The grave can be seen today at the place called the Grave of Gelert, Bed Gelert. Somber one there. There's a poem to follow it. Should I read it? Maybe I shouldn't. I'll do it as another one. The tribute to a man and his dog there. Pretty straightforward. I guess it's this one could be based on a true story. I'll look it up. I'll put it in a comment or something. But yeah, don't make rash judgments on things. Don't think that dogs are gonna. If he's been true all his life, I think what this says is dogs will tend to stick to usual habits and not make some rash, like act on desire. I think humans could have that compulsion because we're a little bit more complicated. I'm not saying dogs are simple, I'm just saying they are obedient and they're good-natured and they are loyal and Yeah, for him to doubt his dog like that so quickly and just to kill him straight on the spot. This is one hot-headed Llewellyn. Prince Llewellyn is going about his life like this, isn't he? Just killing his friends like that. Prince Llewellyn's a dick, and he needs to fucking just have a moment to think. 2 strides away was his alive son, and he's killed his dog over it. Llewellyn, get over yourself, mate. Chill out. Stop being so hot-headed. It's just impetuousness. It's just fast actions without thinking is killing the loves in your life. Terrible, really. So his rest is... I'd like to see this grave if it exists. Again, I'll look it up. I should have done some research. First time I read this, you know. I thought we might as well read it together. But yeah, I'll look into it. I'd be interested. I wonder if his bugle is still there and his scepter on the dog's grave. I kind of feel compelled to read the poem, but it's a little long. Shall I do it? I'll do it. Yeah, okay, cool. Llewellyn and his dog. The spearman heard the bugle sound, and cheerily smiled the morn, and many a branch and many a hound had tend Llewellyn's horn. And still he blew a louder blast, and gave a louder cheer. Come, Gelert, why art thou the last Llewellyn horn to hear? Oh, where does faithful Gelert roam, the flower of all his race? So true, so brave, a lamb at home, a lion in the chase. That day Llewellyn lived little loved, the chase of hart or hare. The scant and small the booty proved, for Gelert was not there. Unpleasant Llewellyn homeward hied, when near the portal seat, his truant Gelert he espied, bounding his lord to greet. But when he gained the castle door, aghast the chieftain stood. The hound was smeared with drops of gore, his lips and fangs ran blood. Llewellyn gazed with wild surprise, uneschewed such looks to meet. His favourite cheeks, his joyful guise, and crouched and licked his feet. Onward in haste Llewellyn passed, and on went Gelert too. And still where his eyes were cast, fresh blood drops shocked his view. O'er turned in his infant's bed he found a blood-stained covered rent, and all around the walls and ground with recent bloods besprent. He called his child, no voice replied, he searched with terror wild. Blood, blood he found on every side, but nowhere found the child. Monster, be thou my child devoured, the frantic father cried, and to the hilt his vengeful sword he plunged in Gelert's side. His suppliant as to earth he fell, no pity could impart, but still his Gelert's dying yell, passing heavy o'er his heart. Aroused by Gelert's dying yell, some slumberer wakened nigh. What words the parent's joy can tell to hear his infant's cry. Concealed beneath a mangled heap, his hurried search had missed. All glowing from his rosy sleep, his cherub boy he kissed. Nor scratch had he, nor harm, nor dread, but the same couch beneath lay a great wolf all torn and dead, tremendous still in death. Ah, what was then Llewellyn's pain? For now the truth was clear. The gallant hound the wolf had slain to save Llewellyn's heir. Vain, vain was all Llewellyn's woe. Best of thy kind adieu. The frantic deed which lay thee low, this heart shall ever rue. And now a gallant tomb they raise, with costly sculpture decked, and marbled storied with his praise, poor Gelert's bones protect. Here never could the spearman pass, or forester unmoved. Here oft the tear besprinked grass Llewellyn's sorrow proved. And where he hung his horn and spear, and often as evening fell, in fancy's piercing sounds would hear poor Gelert's dying yell.